Hey, Joe.
Hi, Jim. How you doing?
I'm great. Hey, Richard and Helen. Hi,
Good
how are you?
evening.
I'm
Hi.
fine. How are you?
Great.
Hi, guys.
I'm, oh, we have seven participants. Let me, there's a bunch of folks. I'm going to admit them. And,
Hi, Rennie.
Hey, how are you?
Oh,
Okay.
Good.
oh, hey, Jennifer, Rainey.
Hi, Jen. How you doing? Oh, the horses.
See.
great. Kurt.
Hey, Greg.
Hey,
Greg, is that a background or are you in your yard?
uh, actually, if I were to slide sideways, you see that driveway?
Ah, it's beautiful.
It goes back about a quarter of a mile. This is the beginning of a property in West Kentucky,
Oh,
and,
Ooh,
and
nice.
grassland for horses, and it's got a pond and a stone house from 200 or 300 years ago.
nice.
Yeah, a friend of ours inherited it, so we went to visit him last summer. I just like the shot.
Yeah, pretty.
Can see why.
Yeah, it's beautiful there. Real poor part of the country, although.
Okay. I think we can get started in just a moment. If you can, uh, rename yourself so we have your name and your club, but if not, no problem. We'll do some quick introductions. Uh, and most of us know each other, at least from in some manner. Um, I want to apologize from the beginning. I've hosted a couple of, and Len knows this, uh, Zooms, and for some reason, both times I did it in the past, my computer crashed. So I became out of luck. So if that happens, you may have to log back on. Um, I can see where, and I can make one of you a host, but then it takes me out of being the host. So I'm completely confused on that. So
Does it run beyond 45 minutes or does it wipe itself out at 45 minutes?
no, this can go on longer. This happens to be the district account.
Okay.
And so I've used it without much luck the last couple of times. So if this crashes, wait a few minutes and come back on. Uh, it's just a little bit of a forewarning there.
Yeah.
But again, I'll do my best. Uh, so let's just get started. I did get a few regrets of folks that couldn't make it, but certainly folks that are interested. And we'll do a quick introduction of each of you, and then we'll kind of roll right into this. Rainey and I met last week and certainly covered a few items that we would like to discuss. And Rainey's going to give a little presentation. And Greg Freitas and I have also been communicating a little bit, and so he'll be doing a little bit he'll do a short presentation as well. But then the rest of this is going to be kind of open to group discussion so we can get some ideas. So I'm Jim O'Grady. I'm the district governor-elect for this year, and will be district governor starting on July 1st. And my club is Petaluma Valley. Joe Thornton.
Hi, I'm Joe Thornton with Petaluma.
Oh, you cut
You,
out, Joe.
pardon?
You cut out. Say it again.
Oh, I'm with Petaluma Valley also.
Okay, well, welcome, Joe. And Jennifer.
I am Jennifer Carter, President-elect for Petaluma Valley.
Very good. And Ricardo.
I am Richard Marzo, but everyone should call me Ricardo. I am president-elect of the Rotary Club of Petaluma. I do want to just a quick advance notice. I have another board meeting coming up. So, however, I did want to be on this Zoom because I think it's really important. I had the pleasure of meeting today with not only Jennifer, but with Craig Ferris, new incoming presidents, all three of us for Petaluma. And we would like to, embrace your theme, District Governor, and continue kind of moving forward in that direction. So I'm excited to learn more. I certainly know Rainey is amazingly qualified as always.
Thank you.
And but I think this is a great discussion and thank you.
Yeah, that's great, Ricardo. And yeah, if anyone needs to drop out, don't feel bad. I'll send a synopsis of the meeting out to everybody. It is being recorded as well. A couple of my regrets asked if we could record it, so I'll send out the recording and any notes on after this initial meeting. So thanks, Ricardo. Helen.
Hi, I am from Willits.
Ooh,
Yeah, up here in the Redwoods, you know.
In Willits. Great. Well,
Close
thank you
by.
for joining us.
Right.
Great. And Greg?
Oh, I'm Greg Freitas. I'm now with Sebastopol Sunrise. I was with Petaluma Sunrise.
Okay, still getting up early, Greg, so that's good.
Yeah, it's early.
Rainey.
I'm Rainey Howe with the Rotary Club of Petaluma and the Executive Director of the Polyclass Foundation.
Great. Thanks, Rainey, for joining us. Len.
Hi, I'm Len Giraldi. I'm president of Snow Mountain Twilight and soon to be the AG for the 3 Petaluma clubs and the 3 Rona Parkatati clubs.
Great. Thanks, Len. Thanks for joining us. Christine.
I'm Christine Redco. I am DGN for another 11 days, and then I am DGE. And congratulations, Jim. Your time has almost come. I am with Len in the Rotary Club of Sonoma Mountain Twilight.
Great. Thanks, Christine. Christine's been a big help over the year in helping me gather information and so forth. And finally, Craig. Yes.
Oh,
Can't hear you.
you
As
muted.
they say,
okay.
Craig, you're muted.
Hey all, Craig Ferris, Petaluma Sunrise, and yeah, I am here to just make sure we can support whatever efforts we have going on and to learn. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Craig. So yeah, those are introductions. I will briefly, what I'm hoping for and the purpose of this task force is to come up with goals and outcomes of what we would like to see either in our clubs, in our district, or perhaps even in putting together an international project that either your club could join in or that we could do as a district or as a district project. So there's many levels and layers to what we're trying to do here. Something I've been wanting to do nearly since being, starting this journey as a district governor. I thought it would be a worthwhile endeavor. It's been well received. So the goal is to share ideas, to put ideas and projects forward that you can bring back to your clubs or that we all can bring to all the clubs. So this is a district task force. This is not just about your particular club, but it's also a way, and we're going to talk about a little bit later, where clubs can get together, as Ricardo mentioned, perhaps in your neighboring clubs, you could come up with some projects. We want to talk about things that can happen internationally, in middle schools and high schools, perhaps, working with our counties. I think the 7 counties in our district are all a little bit different, and Rainey may touch on that a little bit, where you can partner with other groups. And again, I would like sometime during this year, in the next few months, to perhaps come up with a district project that we can at least begin this year and maybe carry over into Christine's year to see how that goes. And before I turn it over to Rainey, one of the benefits of going through governor training is you meet governors to be in all different districts. And several of the districts have had these task force going on for many years. And they've done some wonderful, wonderful projects. Again, both in their individual clubs and as a district. So there's a lot of possibilities. We're only going to be taking some baby steps initially, and I think that's okay. But there are resources out there. I had sent out a bunch of links. You may not have had a chance to look at them all, but there's a lot out there that Rotary does that we should be able to emulate. But much of this initially is just going to be sharing that kind of information. Any questions on our sense of direction? Okay. Helen?
I'm the secretary of the Willits Club, and when I polled our group at the last meeting and asked for an indication of interest of who might like to do this, somebody, as a matter of fact, 2 people said they thought this district had this initiative before them and tried to do something before.
Yes and no. There was, if we go back many years, maybe 10 or 12 years, there was a committee looking into this. They also, I remember attending the district conference, and I think it was Bob Rogers up in Sacramento, and they had some breakout sessions on it. But I think it's just kind of like a lot of things in Rotary, it either ran its course or it just, subsided in its own way. I did contact a few folks that had been part of it many years ago, and that was the feedback that it just, I haven't found really anything going on right now, except for there's an Interact Club up north that has done some projects in this area. But Helen, that's exactly why we're doing it, because it seemed to have fallen to the wayside.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. So why don't we go to Rainey, who's going to give us a kind of a overview of human trafficking and where we might fit in.
Sure. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So, I'm just going to give a brief background in case you weren't at the Ukiah meeting. The Poly Class Foundation is very much involved in prevention of sex trafficking of minors. After being in the child defined agency for 30 years, over the last 10 years, we realized that of our runaway cases, that 1 in 5 of them had been lured online by an adult predator, and that those children were sexually assaulted and in many cases sex trafficked. So we started about 8 years ago going into middle schools and talking to students about what red flags to look for when you're talking to somebody online and you think that maybe they're your peer, or you're making friends with them, you're grumpy at your family, and you're reaching out and trying to make new relationships. What are those red flags to look for that you might be talking with an adult predator? And we've reached about 17,000 kids in Sonoma and Marin counties. We're very interested and willing to expand our reach to other counties that are interested. And the best thing about the program is that it's free. Schools don't have to pay for it. We raise all the money through the foundation and then use those resources to help kids to stay safe online and in the real world. So with that kind of background, when Jim and I met earlier, we were talking about what can this district do that has real tangible outcomes. Just as Helen had mentioned, hey, didn't we try this before and nothing really happened? And what I wanted to offer as part of this task force is some really low-hanging fruit, so to speak, about things that each club could do or even a district could do that could make a meaningful difference and tackle this in a manner that you can really see and appreciate. So, for example, if every club wanted the Poly Class Foundation to present this program to their Interact group, then we could do that. It wouldn't cost the club anything. It wouldn't be difficult to arrange. It would basically say, you know, we have this group of kids. It would be great. Come in and talk to them about this. You know then that you have helped protect and engage those kids. And they might not be middle school, they might be older students, but there is nothing wrong with informing everyone who spends a lot of time online. Our victim ages range from about 12 to 17 in our current missing child cases of kids who have been lured online. So this does happen in our communities. We just had a girl from Roanoke Park who was only 14 that was lured online by an adult male and found in Salinas in a Motel 6 with adult men. So, and she was recovered, but imagine all the resources that go into helping her with that trauma versus our going into classrooms and to youth groups and helping children to understand that they are their first line of defense. Kids are online, they don't have their parents or their guardians or their grandparents or somebody looking over their shoulder. They're typically doing this just one-on-one between themselves and whoever it is they're talking to. And if we can just plant those seeds to help them to understand, why would this person want to offer me a modeling job and not tell my parents? You know, or to leave my home when I don't really know who this person is. So it's about a 45-minute presentation. Again, it's free. It helps schools to check the box that they provided this information because the state of California has mandated it, but it's an unfunded mandate. So they have told the schools, you need to tell the kids about this, but you're really on your own when it comes down to it. So we've had really great response in Sonoma County. We're happy to talk to any of the teachers that you might have contact with. Parents, we can do public presentations in libraries that, you know, are co-presented Rotary Club with the Poly Class Foundation. And it's just I think it would be a really powerful way to raise the visibility of Rotary on this issue with a well-known agency like the Poly Class Foundation who already has the ball rolling in that direction. So that's just one idea that I wanted to put out there. Either giving an entree to middle school principals or teachers that you might know, or if that just seems too cumbersome because school districts can be difficult to navigate, why don't we do the Interact groups or a public program in a library and not have to work through the school district? It's really a number of possibilities. We already have the program. It doesn't need to be developed. And again, we offer it for free. So that's my presentation in a nutshell.
And don't forget, you know, Rainey is willing to go anywhere in the district. So all counties, she's opening it up. She'll be at Willits whenever she's invited.
Love Willits.
Yeah. So, you know, right now it looks like most of us are in Sonoma County, but I know there are folks throughout the district. And I'm hoping, you know, I wanted to call this a task force rather than a committee, that you folks, you know, become a hub that talks to others. You know, you may have your own self-interest, which is good, you know, working with the 3 Petaluma clubs, or Len, you know, talking to your 6 clubs in your assistant governor area. And we'll hear from Greg in a minute. But, you know, when you go to a larger meeting, you know, talk to folks about what's available. That's why it's our task to make this prominent in the district. And I'll mention a few other things, ideas that I have later. Helen?
COVID unfortunately destroyed our Interact clubs, and we are trying to get Rotaract up and running right now. So can you speak, Rainey, can you speak from personal experience about how successful it would be to have, for instance, a library program that goes with sponsorship by Rotary and Polyclass Foundation, as opposed to a Rotary presentation itself?
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you that weeknights are good. Thursday nights at the library are good. It's really important to get the word out. I mean, you really have to help push this. We're in your community, whether it's through a PSA, signage, posters, and things like that. But, if you can get, or we can get somebody to sponsor some food. For example, Jersey Mike's basically gave us 80 free sandwiches when we did it at the Polyclass Theater, and we were standing room only. So, you know, there's a couple things. When I say free, I mean free, but it does sometimes take some resources to get the word out.
Is it easier to wait until school is back in session? Because so many people may be gone during the summer, is there less interest?
I think it is more successful to hit the ground running, let's say in September, like do all the planning now, reserve the library spots now, get your, you know, club excited about it now. And then once September comes, it's all lined up, get the food sponsors ready, you know, or maybe you have Rotarians that prepare food for it or something. It does really help. If you do something from 5:30 to 7 and a meal is provided, it's packed.
Okay.
That's
Thank you.
great. But before you, Joe, Ricardo?
Okay, sorry. Rainey, as always, thank you. I have a quick organizational question. What's the difference between Rotaract and Interact? And I ask that because I met some really nice kids from Sonoma State who were in Singapore for the international convention. And they're at the university level, but like they seemed impassioned. And I guess to Rainey, you know, who has, you know, obviously the expertise in this space, is there a way that, like, you know, young adults might have a stronger voice when addressing like middle school kids? What's the difference between Rotaract and Interact, and how, like, what happens to a person at Sonoma State? Did they start in high school? And how do we get them involved? They went to the convention, right? So they were very excited. Is this something we can invite them to be a part of, or is maybe this not the right area?
Are you at you? I don't know the difference between Interact and Rotaract, so I'm assuming that question is not for me.
What one is takes place in the high schools, and the other takes place at the college level.
Right. So
That's
that group was SSU Rotaract.
And
but
they were awesome.
They were awesome. And Ricardo's, many of those students did come up through, because I know some of them, they did come up through the Interact chain. And, we can even have interact clubs as young as middle school. Unfortunately, it's very hard, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but in the few that I've tried, and Len can speak to this too, because we've worked together, it's very hard to mobilize them in middle school. But I do think, to Rainey's point, that is the age. I just have two kids coming out of middle school going into high school, and that 13, 14 year range is really where we should plant the seeds. So maybe we do, to your point, utilize the leadership. Like, my daughter was in leadership in middle school, and there's no interact club there, but there's a leadership class.
Right, there's ASB.
ISB, right.
But if we have
And
these kids who are at Sonoma State.
they
and
might
maybe-
want to help us, right? I think that's a great idea.
And it might help their resumes. I mean,
Absolutely. And they're-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just, if I could just, also add to that, the Poly Class Foundation was approached by Petaluma City Schools. They have a new career pathway program, and the state is paying for seniors to have internships. They asked us if we would create an internship for seniors.
Great.
And
That's
we,
great.
and we are. And so this is what we have proposed, is to basically train these seniors how to deliver the program in middle schools, because much to Ricardo's point, young people like hearing from their peers. They look at me and think I'm like a mom or a teacher person or whatever, and they're much less enthusiastic than to see somebody in high school who they're kind of who they want to be just like. And so that being said, we would never cut a high school student loose to give a presentation without me or another social media safety coordinator there, just to make sure everything is going the way it should.
I want to add to that a little bit. You'll see in my presentation how some of these ideas are overlapping. Ricardo, though, you asked a specific question regarding young people in college, could they be involved? And anywhere in the 18 to 22-year-old range is the range we're talking about. They work really well as peers in a high school situation where you're talking to high school kids. So you've got, a group that can help with younger kids in that group. The thing about it is, Rotaractors only are around a couple of years, then they're gone. So, and one of the problems is keeping a healthy club like that going. But because there's an outside source that can feed that going, and certainly I think that's a response to your idea that I think would work.
Mhm.
Yeah, so before I call on Craig, there's a great point for all of us. When you start to put together a project, invite the Rotaractors to join in. I think if they could just join in as part of your project, regardless of what it is, I think that will help. I think it's a wonderful idea, Ricardo. Craig, did you have some input?
Yeah, I wanted to get some clarification, because it sounds like at Polyclass you've got things dialed in. You know how to present, who you need. It's mind-boggling to me that you would need help getting into the high schools. Like, I have a daughter. Somebody came to me and said, we need to make people aware of this. So I'm not sure how Rotary helps. You've got everything you need. So I just need some clarity as to what the role of Rotary is, because I guess it's mind-boggling. Like, you actually need help going to the schools and saying, we need you to allow us to talk to your students.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because the subject matter is difficult, there are some teachers that I think can become a little bit concerned about the content. I mean, we're not talking about sex the way that sex education is taught. We're not going into any of those details. We're talking very much about online behavior, not sending any inappropriate pictures, even though you think that your boyfriend will never share them with another person. Believe me, he will. And then you have no control over what happens to that. There's sextortion, where it falls into the wrong hands and somebody says, if you don't pay me $100, I'm going to put this all over social media, and even your grandma's going to see it. And then kids panic, and instead of going to seek help. They're so embarrassed about what they've done, they will actually start paying somebody. And there are actually sextortion rings, people that, you know, do this to hundreds of people, kids every week, and they're making a small fortune. And so that's the subject matter. Once we've presented to a teacher and they start telling other teachers, we're always welcome in. But it can be difficult because I think teachers are feeling paralyzed about that one parent that might come in and say, what are you teaching my child? The kind of thing, which is why we're very specific about the age group, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. We don't do anything younger than 6th grade.
So are you actually needing to get the okay from each individual teacher in a school as opposed to like a principal or somebody who just says we're doing this?
It really depends on the school. I had a great meeting with Matthew Harris, Superintendent Matthew Harris, Petaluma City Schools. He's
Before
going
he
on
left.
leave. Yeah, before he left, but that's okay. And where he was like, this needs to be in all 7th grades in the whole district, right? So it's really about just finding the right person who can turn that key. And once the presentation is done, then teachers every year have us come back. It's just getting in the door. So Rotary can help us with if they have a relationship with the schools, or if they are a parent that has a student in the school, in helping to get that door open. But maybe just the way to, like I was saying earlier, the way to ensure success in delivering the program could be to the public for middle school students at your library. Like one doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be either or. We can do both. You know, it's just a matter of how we can get that door open for us.
And let me interject here, because since I started this going, this is just one idea.
Yeah, exactly.
The purpose of this task force is to share ideas that we can do throughout the year that may work for you and or your club. So this is what Rainey's proposing is one avenue that certainly really important. There's public service announcements, billboards that can be sponsored by a Rotary Club, a variety of advertising type of media that can help, that has been shown that Rotary clubs have been involved in, and districts that have helped this. So my hope is that all of us will bring these ideas, you know, at each meeting during the year. We'll talk about a schedule at the end. And you can say, oh, that might work for my club, or that doesn't work for my club. Or maybe a hybrid will work, or I'll call Rainey and see if we can do it at the Boys and Girls Club rather than the library. So you have to judge what's best for you and what you think might be best if, you know, for the district. I think that's clear, but I just wanted to reiterate that as we move along. I haven't shared it yet, but there's some wonderful things that the districts are doing throughout the Rotary world. And we want to learn from them and perhaps implement some of those here. We have, you know, of course, the ideal with the Poly Class Foundation in our backyard. Joe, what did you have a thought?
Oh, I was continuing along the same lines as you guys were talking about. I was curious. Rainey said that they had an overflowing crowd at the Polyclass Theater. So should we be looking at setting up a whole series of events at the Polyclass Theater for parents that would enable us to reach a good section of the community?
I think that the answer is yes for a certain geography. What we found is that people will not travel from Santa Rosa to Petaluma. I think
Right.
it's just a sad fact. I don't think it's very far. but people really like to stay close. So I think that, but there's venues everywhere. I think what we're looking for is a venue that's free, and that's why I mentioned the libraries. Usually the library will allow you to host something. You don't have to pay for the space.
Okay, well, let's move on a little bit. Uh, I wanted Greg to present what his club, I believe, and he'll talk about it, is looking into an international project related to human trafficking. And again, this is a sharing of an idea that may be right for you and your club, or at least a starting point for what you might want to do, or we can do as a district in the future. So Greg, you're on.
Okay, thank you. Could I get an approval to do a sharing?
Uh-oh. Okay, so let's see.
Host is disabled, participant screen sharing. You have to give me the okay.
Let's see. Yeah,
Look for a green thing at the bottom, maybe.
Yeah, it's just a green at the bottom, Jim, share screen.
share.
I'm sorry. I think it's maybe under more.
It says one participant share at a time. Oh, for some reason it says Richard. Let's see.
See if under more it has it.
Try it now, Greg, just to see if it works.
Well, I
Great.
got something up. It would show, right now it still says host disabled, participant screen sharing. So it's still disabled.
The 3 dots doesn't have it, Jim. Under more, 3 dots.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
where I
looking
used
at the
to.
green thing. It just,
Well, mine was green. I don't know what yours will be. Sorry.
let's see.
Yeah, I thought it was
Okay,
under
share, it
this.
says all participants.
We can do that.
Yeah, it says it right. I apologize, everyone. I'm doing my best here. You should be able to share.
Well, I've got something up. If you can see it, I'm sharing it. And if you can't see it, you see that? No.
Nope, we just see you.
So it isn't sharing yet. Share
Try it
screen.
again.
Okay, wait a minute.
There we
Here we
go.
go. We can see it
Yahoo.
now.
Yay, good job.
Yay.
Okay.
Nice.
Thank goodness.
One thing the committee may want to look at is somebody to host that has the skill.
Okay, I have to start this by saying that our district for years has been supporting World Peace Fellows, trying to become World Peace Fellows. And our district over the last dozen years has successfully promoted at least 10 people to become World Peace Fellows. In all those years, one has come back to us, our district, and is asking for help with a project in Eswatini, Africa. And I want to show you where that is and some information about it, and then I'll go into what she's doing. First of all, where is it? Here's Africa. Eswatini's way down here. Can you see it at the bottom
Yep.
of that screen?
Yep.
Okay, here it is blown up. It's not very big. It's about 20 miles by 60 miles. And what's interesting about this particular country, it has a population of 1.2 million. It's an absolute monarchy. The king has 15 wives. 60% of the population is unemployed. It has the highest rate of HIV in the world, 28%. In other words, 327,000 people have it now, and it's a leading cause of death in the country. Because of that, there's a lot of families with missing people. And adolescents can have a real problem trying to grow up, particularly women adolescents. Women between the ages of 15 and 49 have an HIV infection rate of over 33%, higher than the country rate. And adolescent girls, those under the age of 18, have twice the infection rate of boys of the same age. Not only does it have the highest HIV rate in the world, it has the second highest HIV TB tuberculosis co-infection in the world. Its life expectancy in Eswatini is one of the lowest. It is fallen from 60 to 32 years of age between 2000 and 2009. They're just losing their whole population. 1/4 of the population is food insecure. That's over 300,000 people. The country's leadership has been criticized by human rights activists for banning political parties and discriminating against women. Swati girls are exploited in sex trafficking and domestic servitude. Sex traffickers there exploit orphan girls in exchange for food and money. And I want to talk about that because we have a proposal that comes in, and I'm going to let her say it in her own words. I'm going to jump past this, but basically there are people that are older men, a generation older in the upper 20s, the late 30s, who are preying on high school age girls as they come of age. And they offer them money and clothing and take them around to their parties and drive them around in their hot cars. And these girls hardly have anything to eat and they have to walk to school and they're barefooted and all the rest of it. They see this as, whoa, maybe a way out of their horrible life. And then when they get involved with these men, the men use them in sexual slavery, pass them on to each other. They call themselves blessers. They think they're blessing these young women. But the reality of it is they give them HIV, they give them other sexually transmitted diseases. And then when they get pregnant, they just dump them and go on and pick up somebody else. So that is the main problem. That's the area we're looking at. And at that point, I'm going to let the woman who's proposing this to say a little bit about her proposal. So I can get this going here. All right.
So Greg, none of us.
Is Pilile
Oh,
Showe, and
never
I'm
mind.
the founder of Kovuga. Kovuga is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to deliver targeted, relatable information to improve the health and agency of young people in Southern Africa. Our immediate goal is that by 2026, we would have directly reached 20,000 young people with the information and skills to be change agents in their communities. In particular, we're hoping to reduce early and unintended pregnancies, as well as new HIV infections among adolescents. We do this in 3 ways. First, we provide information on risk. We share simple data and information that shows young people how their chances of getting infected with HIV increase with older partners. Secondly, we work with peer educators to be the messengers of this critical information. Our peer educators are aged 18 to 22 and lead the design as well as delivery of our intervention. Lastly, we're on a mission to transform aspirations. Through our peer educators who get paid employment opportunities as well as professional development opportunities, we are demonstrating the benefits of not engaging with older partners. Our immediate goal is to reach 30 more schools by 2024. We're also want to double our peer educator cohort by increasing the professional development opportunities to young people in Southern Africa.
Okay, you kind of see a quickie on that. She has lined up I'm going to shut this off. Well, I'm going to move this for the moment so we can talk a little more. She has,
Okay, Greg, let's just watch our time. Take about 4 or 5 more minutes.
that's all I need.
Okay.
Yeah, I should have said so to start with. I'm sorry. She's connected with the main Rotary Club in Eswatini in the capital. It's an older club. It's the oldest club there. They've done a number of global grants which means they're doing the most of the work and annual reporting to TRF. So this is a potential global grant project that our district is looking at. The Petaluma Sunrise Rotary Club was first approached on it. When I was involved there, and I'm still involved helping to put this proposal together in conjunction with them. And we're asking clubs, or we'll be asking clubs, I've started already, to think about supporting the project. We need to raise about 42,000, which means we need a nut from clubs of somewhere in the $10,000 to $12,000 range. What else can I say about it? They've done their assessment, and the proposal is about, I'd say, 85, 90% written. So, yeah.
Hey, Ingrid, just a quick question. I don't know if you mentioned this or not, but when Uganda had its major assault against AIDS, they had great support from the CDC.
Yes.
Does Eswatini have the same kind of support from the CDC that would go in there and educate people on how not to transmit AIDS or to have people receiving treatments for AIDS and so forth?
They do, and it's been fairly effective in slowing down the rate in the adult population. It hasn't
Okay.
reached the younger population because for some reason they didn't set it up that way. So this is an effort
Okay.
to do that, and basically to keep these young women from getting pregnant and being.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Lives
Yeah.
are-
Yeah, I really like this project, by the way. I think it's neat. Yeah.
Greg, I have to ask how effective this kind of a promotional material as this young girl who was very eloquent
Yeah.
is when so much of this is forced on these kids and they have no choice. They have no way to make that kind of a choice.
Well, the program not only teaches them about the pitfalls, it also lines them up with other nonprofits that are in the area that can help them find ways to make a living, learning to sew and other things,
Okay.
and grow food and that kind of thing, and so forth. So they line them up with that as part of the process.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question, but
It does.
I think it's a wonderful potential win-win project, because if you're a Rotary Club and you're looking out in the world to do a global grant and you've never done one before, particularly, or if you're sophisticated and you've done them, you know that the best clubs you can co-sponsor with is a club that in a district where they've already have experience handling global grants, because you can get the money, but there's also the annual reporting and everything else that goes along with the Rotary Foundation requirements. There are a lot of requirements, but then you get the money for it. So having an opportunity to connect with a club that already has done it's a good thing. And they've got this Kovuka organization run by this young woman you just heard from, who's operating with them to expand this program. I did not say anything about this, but she and his organization started 4 years ago, and they did a test pilot of 5 schools in Eswatini to see how well this worked. And they use these young women, and it worked pretty darn well, because the young girls just coming of age love to listen to girls in the 18 and 22 year age, much better than teachers that are older. They'll listen to them. So.
Greg, just to clarify something for Rainey, she was asking whether or not, or what it would take if all clubs participated in the grant. You only need basically about $10,000 or $12,000, right?
That's right.
Because the rest is DDF,
Right.
and then you have the Rotary Foundation matching up. So,
Exactly.
so only $10,000 or $12,000 is needed to get this project going.
And if you think of 10 or 12,000 to get 41 or 42,000, it's almost a 4-to-1 ratio. And the reason for that, so high, normally it's about 3-to-1 or slightly less, is that our district is relatively flush with DDF money, particularly this
Right.
year, 23 and 24. How far it'll go in the next year, I don't know, but the sooner we can get this thing lined up, the better. On the other end, they're lined up, they're ready to go, and they've been very positively responsive to all the little detailed stuff I've been asking for that I know will be needed in the review. So that's where we are. Craig has had a little background on it. This is part of the slideshow. I didn't show all the rest of it.
Well, Greg, I think this is fabulous, and I wanted to bring this for all of us, as a task force. If it's something that all of us get behind, it would be us who go to the clubs and pitch this and help, so Greg, you're not out on your own, and maybe
That'd be great.
this
Yeah.
is something we can all think about, and along with others who want to be on this task force. We have the local idea, from Rainey, and there's much more, but I think this is a good start. Len, we can talk to the AGs about all of this. We happen to have a meeting tomorrow night. And we'll certainly share what's going on. There is an international committee for the district. I think they're meeting tonight, Greg.
Yes.
And it's something you could join in as well, and because there's a lot of collegiality there as well.
Yeah, I have done a few of those already, and they are very supportive.
Yeah, so let's kind of wrap this up. I wanted to keep it to less than an hour. I hope this was fruitful. This has been great for me in getting this going. I wanted to throw something out at the group, and then also get your feedback on when you feel it might be prudent for us to meet. I'm not expecting everyone to be at every meeting. Of course, we all have family and other Rotary and business things to do. What are your thoughts about meeting? Once a month? Is there an evening that works? Just throw it out to everybody right now. All
I think-
opinions matter.
Yeah, I think once a month sounds good, as if we if at the end of each meeting, maybe not this one, but the next one, if at the end of each meeting, whoever's like the secretary puts together a task list, so that it's not like we met and then all this time goes by and we meet and rehash. It would be sort of like, we met, this is what we know we need to do, who's gonna sign up to do what. And then the next meeting, we report out, and hopefully every task has been achieved. That's just my idea of really getting something done.
I'd like to ask, if I could ask a quick question, because I think Greg is proposing this already through international. Something came through us through International Petaluma Sunrise. And I don't know if there's a timeline for district grant. I know like August 1st, you have to have your request in. Is there a timeline we have to meet for what you're proposing, Greg?
District grant is DDF, but it's not global grant DDF. They have a pot of DDF money, and a club can apply for it at any time in the year. Once it gets too big, I won't go into all the details, but this is the size of a project that can be handled at Rotary International within 2 or 3 months. They respond and you fill it out and finish it. So the main thing is you have to have the money lined up from the clubs. From the point the foundation approves it, you have the parties that proposed it have a 6-month window to put the money up. So people might, in clubs, like let's say the Petaluma Club decides in late August to support it, and they have some funds, but it won't come along till November or December, whenever they have their fundraiser. There's but if it's approved in, let's say, September, there's 6 months from then to get the money in. And it's a fairly small matching amount. I think we could do it fairly easily and get a good win out of it. As far as the other end in Africa and Eswatini, they want to get going in next school year at some point. But, that starts in September, kind of like ours.
Thank you.
Helen?
I know from personal experience, the Willits Club is extremely entrenched in making sure that our community gets most of our money. And so we would be more interested in this at a local level, the training, the thing, and looking at the international participation after it becomes successful in our own group. I think meeting in a month, we'd all be able to talk to our own respective clubs and find out what their interest is, what they would rather do. I don't think it's something that I can speak of for my club. So a month is good for me, and I certainly will take this to the club for interest levels?
Monthly meetings for me is fine. I like the middle of the week. I like Wednesday. That worked fine.
Okay, I'll put out a note for us to meet perhaps the fourth week of July. We'll keep it a Wednesday. I don't have my visit schedule in front of me, so I don't even know what I'm doing that night. But not that you need me at the meeting. And hopefully there'll be others to join, spread the word. We do want to make this a productive meeting, so I do take to heart what Rainey said, and I'll outline that in my follow-ups to everybody. Greg, the only thing I would ask from you is maybe you could give me a one-page synopsis of the project and deadlines, as clear as you can, similar to what a couple of the folks were asking. And, there may be other projects. And Helen, I think you just make a great point. Each club's going to want to participate differently. What we want to do is present them with opportunities to do so, and in the course of this year. And there may be extra monies in our fund towards the end of the year. There generally is, and that's why there's been projects at district conferences and so forth. I'm still fuzzy on how that all works. Jennifer Strong has been tutoring me, but there's a possibility that there could be a fair chunk of money in the spring that we may be able to put towards a project. Now, this may not be your project, Greg, but it may be a project within the district that we may want to pursue that would be in our local communities. That's just being said. I'm trying to continue to look at our district budget, so there will be some monies, if hoping that this committee comes up with a viable project that we can all get behind. So keep that in mind. Rainey?
Oh, just, I'd be happy to put together sort of a 1-page of programs that we could offer, so that each of you can bring it to your clubs, or you can share it with all the clubs in the district or things like that. And I also just wanted to say that what I really like about tonight's program or discussion is that it doesn't have to be either or. It's whatever works best for every club, but there's some clubs that could do both. There's some clubs that could say, hey, it doesn't cost anything to have the Poly Class Foundation come to my, library, other than getting a food sponsor and putting an ad in the paper or whatever. And I really love the international project, and you can do both. So I just wanted to.
Bravo, Rainey. I'm with that. Yeah, we should do both.
So Greg and Rainey, why don't you both send me those documents?
I'll do
Then
that.
when I put together the minutes and everything for this initial meeting, I'll send it out to not only this group, but the folks that are on my list who want to participate. If you, and don't answer now, if you would like to chair this committee, let me know. Because I honestly, I can't run it. So if you have an inkling to take this and be the helmsperson, let me know. And I know we're all busy. That's why you're here, because you're very active in your community and in Rotary. But let me know if you do have that inkling to kind of help out. And I do think, Rainey, if you want to be the secretary, that would be equally important, because I think I've been taking some notes, but we do need to have solid notes and feel like we're moving along each month and not spinning our wheels. So I do respect that. So if anything else, last 30 seconds.
I want to say to Helen, the DDF money the district holds has pots that is kept separate. The DDF money that clubs get is separate from global grant DDF money.
Yeah.
No, I understood that. Yeah,
Those are not meshed, nor can one from one source be taken from to the other till the
Right.
very end of the year, when there's extra money that hasn't been used, as was just explained.
okay. All right.
Okay, everyone, thanks a lot. Len, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rainey. And I really do appreciate, this is a great start. I think we'll be very proud at the end of the year what we've accomplished and done for Rotary and for our communities.
Nice meeting everybody. Thank you.
Take care.
Nice to meet you all
Bye.
too.
Weekend.
Bye.
That's great.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.